This week in Batman, Lucius Fox plans on keeping all that sweet, sweet, sweet Bruce Wayne money, and even tries to make him feel good about it. Werewolf by Night was just a big disappointment, and Scumbags, that was a home run. Oh my lord. We're going to talk about those books and a bunch more right after this intro. What's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. If this is your first time here, basically I'm a middle-aged man. I read a bunch of comic books, I take a bunch of notes on them, and then I regurgitate them to you as a review or a haul for this week. So without further ado, let's jump right into it, and we're going to jump right into Batman. So we're creating a new world. We're just coming off the Joker War, so now we're setting up the next storyline, and basically we're just making Bruce Wayne just maybe not as rich, maybe not as fancy tech as he used to have.
Okay.
And Lucius Fox justifies keeping all of his money by saying things like, well, the IRS are going to be watching you now. Well, Lucius, they're going to be watching you now too, seeing as you just had a huge deposit of money put in millions of dollars. Like, you're under the same scrutiny, Slick. I don't know. All in all, I am kind of curious what's going to look like to see Bruce Wayne have to fix his own car and just, you know, that kind of from rags to riches to rags type of story. Should be pretty interesting. We get the grifter in here, and, you know, he wants to pair off with Batman, kind of see what he's all about. And that was pretty cool seeing the character. But it did seem kind of forced just to randomly throw him in there.
Why not?
Because we haven't seen him in, like, forever. So, all in all, it was an okay issue. Let's see, moving on to Justice League. So this is the spin-off story from Death Metal. And basically, Lex Luthor and not kind of sort of Teen Titan +2
Ordinarily, I wouldn't pay no mind.
have to go dethrone Perpetual's throne to free the Legion of Doom in there. And in the previous issue, they had to go through the Valley of Starro. A valley full of Starros. There's little the little starfish-looking things. Yeah, that kind of play with your head. So Lex Luthor gets them out of there, and some talk about how, you know, Nightwing or Grayson or whatever we're calling him these days.
I thought you knew.
How he couldn't mess with his mind, but only so much because he doesn't remember his past that much. Yeah, for the most part, it was an in-between issue just to give a reason for Lex Luthor to be with the team now as they go on their journey, their quest, if you will. Let's see here. Oh, this was so good. So this was kind of sadistic. Again, another Death Metal tie-in. This is King Robin. This is the 1 in 25 issue there. I really like his little claw thing there. Kind of looks like a fake homemade Wolverine type of thing.
Well, I just thought he was pretty cool.
I really like this. His dialogue when he speaks, it's definitely a child. He speaks like he's being polite and stuff like that while he's strangling puppies. Like, it's bad. We got to get a view of what his world looks like and what turned him into this, and how he basically just goes around and tries to kill superheroes all day because he doesn't like old people, right? And he thinks he's being watched by kids throughout the universe, and his kind of relation with the one who laughs type of scenario. How does that dynamic really work at the end of the day, and how he actually ended up kind of affecting all the other little demon Robins. It's a good story. It's not necessary to the storyline. We already know he's sadistic, and he's always got a little gadget or something just like a Batman would. But for the most part, it's a fun read, but I wouldn't say it's like heavily needed for the Death Metal story.
Any other questions?
Let's see here. Big letdown this week.
Oh, come on now. It's not worth it.
Werewolf by Night. I thought for sure, you know, every once in a while, come fall time, Marvel's got to take some obscure character of theirs and try to relaunch it. And boom.
Well, I guess you saw this coming, huh?
They did. Great concept in here, using Werewolf by Night as a Native American. Bad concept in here, mucking it up with a bunch of nonsense.
You will go to hell for this.
All right, same to you. Bye now.
It's 2020 nonsense stuff. It's just ridiculous to that point. They had a great ending page. We got bionic type animal people in this as our bad guys. We have some U.S. Marshals. One of them's obviously a Native American himself, and his agent, of course, being a female. This is a very I don't know. This taboo guy, I could think of a dozen writers that could have gotten this and made so much with it, made it so interesting. But the first issue here is just really dialogue and how hard their life is.
Come on, be fair.
And I'm like, I don't care. Like, just, ugh, I don't know. Iron Man, another just horrible one. I'm dropping Iron Man. Again, that's something I've been doing a lot lately.
Oh, fudge.
When these stories kind of go into this, you need to check your privilege type speech in here with Wildcat, and I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, what'd you expect?
Like, yeah, we know he's privileged. He's rich. Like, he's rich. He's given all that up to be back to square one, and you're still telling him how privileged he is? He's so privileged, he took everything away from himself. We should kind of ponder that one for a second, if you will. And this is really just a self-loathing story. It's almost like King's writing it. It almost feels like, that middle-aged depression thing going on. He's not. But yeah, I can't. Did you read this? Let me know down in the comments down below. Maybe I'm just missing something.
Yeah, just like that.
So far, the best Fantastic Four to date. Issue number 25. I went with the Scotty Young cover because my wife collects Scotty Young covers. So this one will obviously be going to her. But I had to read it first, and I think we got our first glimpse of these ancient ones. The first race, I believe, is what we've been calling them. I think we've finally seen one being the main antagonist in here. It was really good. It was all the characters had their little moment to shine. I'm really digging these two kids that the Grimms are taking care of now. Their idea of going to school and what they thought they should be doing, and it was just, it's funny, it's hilarious. There's some great action in here. We get a scene with Dr. Doom doing the Doctor Doom. It was awesome. And all in all, this was probably, out of all 25 issues thus far, this was probably the best one. So I'm looking for this kind of launch off into this storyline. We get the Watcher back, and we're going to have a fighting Nick Fury back instead of him just being a made-up Watcher. So that's, somebody's cleaning up the story here, and it's pretty good. Next, something that didn't need to exist. Amazing Spider-Man 50 LR. The whole LR thing, I hate it when they do that. It's just a gimmick.
There you go, right there. I knew it.
And this story's not relevant in any real way. Basically, this entire thing is just how sad Norman Oswald is, the Green Goblin, for being the Green Goblin and all this other stuff, and how sad he is about it, and blah, 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 and family issues because his son is kindred now. And trying to mend that relationship. Because, that's what you want to read in a comic book. Like family issues, right?
Boring, but it's safe.
So they're going to bring in MJ to take care of it. The only thing interesting in this is Spider-Man's multiverse friends. Apparently, their kindred changed them into demon monster thingies. I'm not really sure. They juiced Batman up with a bunch of venom and pretty much just left him while they go run havoc all over the city. So apparently we're going to be getting some of that, probably in another LR, to let us know that it's not really relevant to the storyline.
You have to let it take you deep.
Juggernaut, in this issue, I don't know what these cats are doing in this one. So the Hulk's a snitch.
Oh, man, that's even worse. I had no idea.
So this takes place, these were the events that led up to issue number 30 in Immortal Hulk. So what happened in this is Juggernaut and D-Cell, they captured Immortal Hulk, and they make him stand at a town hall meeting while people tell him how he's disrupted their lives, and you need to hear us. And so he takes it for a while and he smiles because he doesn't really care.
Sorry to hear that.
And then he breaks out of their little prison thingy, and he was like, if you think I'm bad, everything you're accusing me of, he's done the same thing. And he's pointing, of course, at Juggernaut.
Yeah, I said my piece.
God, that is the most childish thing. I can't believe they did that in here. That's like, oh, I know I did something bad, but he did something way worse. Yeah. And so now, of course, Juggernaut's going through some self-loathing here. It's depressing. Also, we find out that Juggernaut can't go to Krakoa. He even asked. He's not a mutant. And his brother's kind of hanging him out to dry, saying, yeah, you can't set foot here, bub. Sorry. So a man out of place and out of time, I guess.
There's not a whole lot of ideas in there.
Maybe. I don't know. It was definitely a weak story. Mephisto, I've been liking this. See, I do like comic books on occasion.
Good.
In this one, we get a battle between Hulk and Hercules. Yeah, they battle it out. And that was actually kind of funny because Hercules was treating it like they're sparring.
He's not nice.
Rick Jones had some great moments in here. We find out why he's been collecting all the superhero stuff and how he's been collecting it, scavenging it, if you will. He's been keeping that. So it was kind of cool to see Rick Jones. Finally, good to know that it is Rick Jones, the guy in the wheelchair. That was pretty cool. And then at the end, Maestro decides that he wants to rule everything. So he makes robot dogs. And Hercules is not liking this. So it looks like a real battle is going to come up on that. Action, art, it has everything you need in it, and a little quirkiness as well. Pretty cool.
I know you're grasping at straws.
Venom, number 29. Okay, so I'm getting kind of over this kind of sub-story here of them in this alternate reality. We got the Black King that's going to be coming out soon, and it just seems like the story's just kind of muddling that epic adventure up.
What are you doing?
We get clarification that the people in this realm are not really the people from each other's respective worlds, because we needed that explained to us. And we kind of got the origin story of Codex in here. Again, a character that's Dylan in this particular universe that turned bad and turned everybody into civilians for the most part.
Be a man and say it out loud, for Pete's sake.
It's written well, and it's not a bad story, but I'm just it didn't need to go into 3 issues. And of course, Scorpion shows up, and that was like the lamest battle ever. He shows up to drop some bodies, and then Eddie Brock's like, "Hey, we need to work together. You need to stop. We need to work together." And I was just like, "Oh."
Here we go. All the heads and chicks feel the flow.
Okay. Yeah, that's where we took that. It happens in between issues. Excalibur, not a huge fan of the Excalibur, but this is chapter 9 in the X of Swords story. Some people have been saying 10 of Swords. I get it. It's an X. Maybe it's supposed to be a Roman numeral. I don't know. I'm calling it X of Swords. First off, cool cover with Nightcrawler on there back in his days when he was a member of Excalibur. In this one, we find out that the next 2 people that were the champions, if you will, are the Captain Britons.
They don't understand, man.
Right, Betsy and Brian. And we kind of do some stuff in the other world. I think that's what they're calling the other place. We get some craziness from Jamie in here too, if you remember Jamie. But for the most part, this is just the reader to find out who the next 2 people are and kind of what gets them there and what 2 swords they're using. Right? There's the Starlight sword and now the Sword of Might, which Sword of Might's always been around. That's always been a Captain America or Captain Britain thing. But for the most part, on its own, it's one of the reasons why I dropped it. It's just very muddled and confusing in here.
You cannot be frightened of everything you don't know in this world.
Let's see here. Okay, so X-Men 13. This is pretty good. This was a pretty good issue. We actually get some more, explanation of Apocalypse's past with this Genesis character and his children, and how the islands actually separate and why they had to split up as a family, and what Apocalypse's role on Earth was.
How am I doing?
After that. It's the best way to describe it, right? And why he did everything. And of course, he gets his sword. Apparently, he's one of the swords. The scabbard. Yeah. And apparently, it was broken. He put it all together. Gorgon's hanging out with him. I hope Gorgon is one of the sword champion people, because they kind of mentioned him in here. Some of the writings in the back kind of described it. But for this one, it's the scarab. It's Apocalypse's sword that he carried back during ancient times. It was really cool to see it in pieces, and then they kind of put it together or whatever. But all in all, it's okay. This one's actually okay.
Follow it.
All right, moving on to my indies this week. Let's start off with Scumbag. I really liked this. This is fun. Think of the absolutely most 1970s dirtball person you can possibly think of. Junkie, alcoholic, cigarette smoking, and
people from Arkansas.
Dukes of Hazzard loving, person you could possibly think of. And imagine them in their 60s and they're still trying to be that person, right? So it's a person that's stuck in time. And he's a junkie to boot. And now he's being given a super serum that connects him to like a computer that makes him strong. It's a super serum, right? It makes him stronger, faster, and it nanos him or connects him to like an interweb-faced type thing with a secret organization. And they're trying to convince him to be the hero and save the day, and we'll give you whatever you want. And he just starts listing off some of the most randomness stuff about beer, sex dolls that talk, a Trans Am, flying Trans Am. The lady's like, yeah, the bomb's going off in 10 minutes. You need to, like, we need to go save it. You can have whatever you want. And of course they get a file on this guy, and they're like, oh my God, it's like literally the worst person ever. This is great, and the artwork in here is just on point. It's very detailed. You see what everything is. I love the one scene in here where he's trying to get his little needle, his fix, and these two super agents are fighting, and he, of course, hallucinates that one's Medusa and the other one's a leprechaun. And some of the things he says is actually kind of funny. So yeah, if you see that, definitely you may want to read this. It's very good, very satirical too. Something is killing the children. This is a sleeper issue. We find out a little bit more about the reach of the secret organization that Erica is a member of, and their associations and what they can do. They can shut down internet, redivert traffic. Like, apparently they're omniscient in some degree. And Erica and her friend have to escape from the school to get going. A lot of this was a bunch of yes you can speeches to police officers, which
Only thing holding you back is you.
was kind of annoying. But for the most part, it's been an okay story. This is just that one of few issues where it's just like, we're not going to really have a whole lot going on here. We're stretching this out. Last but not least, Dune #1. Apparently, this is a confusing book. I watched Dune. I remember the movie Dune. I've seen it a couple of times in my life. I get the concept of the spice. If you're not a Dune fan or understand that world in any way, this can be kind of like...
You're not far off.
You're not going to like this. Because you're not going to know what spice is. This book relies on you understanding the Dune universe to some degree. What we get in here is we get basically just a launch of a new type of story. But it's done in like 3 different phases, or 3 different sections, if you will. Each one's a royal family of some sort, and have their interactions and their landscape. So basically, it's just an introduction issue to our members. Am I going to really be picking up a lot of this?
Not every detail of everyone's personal life is your business, okay?
Probably not. This is cool. The art in it's cool. There's some great action stuff in it, and some espionage type stuff going on, and assassinations, and just, the good stuff. But for the most part, I'm just not a sci-fi guy at the end of the day. Alright guys, that's my haul. What did you think? What did you read this week? And more importantly, what did you think of it? Also, check out my video where I made this. This is the world's most rarest pop made from Nordic gold.
Soak it in.
Even made a little box for him with a little glow-in-the-dark chamber in there for him. It's pretty cool. If you want to see how I made that, you can check that out right here. That video will be right here. Other than that, guys, I got nothing else. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.